One Question is designed to give subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown, and welcome to One Question, where we highlight executive leaders in college athletics. I'm here at the 2018 Collegiate Strength and Conditioning Coaches Association National Conference, and I'm joined by Coach Ken Mannie. He's the head strength and conditioning coach at Michigan State University. Greetings, Coach. Thanks for joining us.
Greetings to you, Mr. Ty Brown. Long time no see. You're still looking good.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it. You
Still
too.
a lady killer, man.
I appreciate it, Coach. Coach, you've been at Michigan State for almost 25 years. You've been in the strength and conditioning profession for almost 45 years. That makes you, for the lack of a better word, a dinosaur in the profession.
It makes me old, man. That's what it makes me.
I say that in two ways. You've been at one program for almost 25 years. That doesn't happen too much now. Coaches come and go with the football staff and the basketball staffs. And then you've been in the game for almost 45 years, which is very important. Of course, me being a Michigan State vet, walk-on football player, can recall when you grabbed me up and tore the one T-shirt that I had for winter conditioning. So I had to wear a torn T-shirt every day for the however long we did winter conditioning. I was excited.
I have no recollection of that whatsoever.
That's funny, Coach. Well, I have you on because I want to ask you, in that wide lens, 45 years in the profession, you've seen a lot, you've worked with and for a lot of people. And I want to ask you about the commonalities and the differences in the student athletes, the sport coaches you've worked with, and the sports administration that you've worked for, the differences and commonalities that you've seen in this 45 years in the game.
There's probably not as many differences as you might think. Times change. People don't change as much as certain circles want to let on that they change. I get a lot of, the kids are changing. They're different. The times they live in are different. Okay, what they're exposed to is different. The challenges they face are all different. The trials and tribulations are all different. Not all of them, but I guess they're in a different vein. These kids are traveling in a different lane than we traveled. Than even you traveled, and certainly that I traveled. As whether it was a high school or college age student back in the late '60s, early '70s. But having traveled that path and seen a lot, changes in culture, really. Changes in the times and obviously technology, what they're exposed to. And then just, making those changes along with it and understand, a lot of it just goes back to knowing what people's stories are. Coach D'Antonio talks about that a lot. And one of the first things he does when he meets somebody that he's, whether it's in a job interview or just whether it's a recruit, whatever the case may be, he'll open up with, tell me your story. What is your personal story? Getting to know the individual first, getting to know that person, what he or she has been through, what's going on in their life, how have they gotten this far? Whatever stage they are in their life at that moment, what did it take for you to get right here, right now? And then we can talk about where you want to go from here, and maybe I can help you get there. Maybe I can do something to help that out as a servant to you. Won't be easy. There's going to be some tough road along the way, but at least willing to come halfway, we can get it done. But having said that, now you have to always go back to standards. And the question I get a lot, well, how do you handle the player, let's say, or the coach that just keeps coming at you with something, abrasive, a lot of friction, whatever. And when it comes to student athletes, they have to be within the bounds of the standards that have been set. So when I'm dealing with them in groups, in team settings, whatever those team settings might be, everybody has to uphold that standard that we have all set, that you've agreed to by coming in. Once you agree to come into the program, you agree to upholding standards. It goes hand in hand. So a kid violates a standard. Okay, and what you learned about standards is if breaking the rule of the standard or whatever the standard that was, violating one of those standards, if there's not a consequence with it, then really, in effect, it's not a standard then. There has to be a consequence for breaking the standard. That's when you bring the kid aside. That's when you pull him or her out of the team setting, and now it's just, I'm talking to Ty Brown here one-on-one. Let's talk about this. What's going on with that? How do you feel about that? What you just did. You kind of let us down there a little bit. So what's going on with that? Is something going on that you're having a tough time dealing with? Maybe there's something on the periphery I'm not seeing, something behind the scenes, behind the curtain, whatever it is, something at home. So we'll go there. So we'll get back to that individual's story. We go back to his or her story to get them back on board with us. But there's got to be some consequences though as well. So in doing, you mentioned 24 years at Michigan State. Those have not been all, rose petals and flowers and, fluff and everything's here. We are in La La Land, baby.
You mentioned coaches, right? Because you've dealt with a number of range of personalities there at Michigan State over those 24 years. Dealing with the different personalities, and we talked about the commonalities and the differences, and coaches being coaches and their leadership styles and how they want you to do exactly what they want, whereas they might not be as knowledgeable about the strength and conditioning aspect. Like, how do you deal with that?
Well, we all have reporting lines, don't we? There's the flow chart, baby, and you got to stay with the flow chart. Where are you on the flow chart? Who do you report to? What do they want? What are their expectations for you? You talk about commonalities. I talk more about common ground. Okay, we have to come to some common ground here. And hopefully, there's going to be, I know that I have to be in a situation of give and take. I understand that. The Ken Mannie from maybe 30 years ago or whatever, maybe maybe a little bit longer than that, my way's the highway guy, as you grow and learn, the my way is or it's the highway thing. That, as they say, that don't flush no more. That doesn't flush anymore. So, you have to get together with people. And I think if both parties are willing to really, sit down, meet, talk, exchange information, some common ground can be met. And if each party is willing to give and take a little bit, you can do that. So I've been fortunate enough to where I've been around, most of the people I've been around have been willing to do that.
And that allows everybody to move forward.
And I've had to learn how to be more like that myself. That was one of my faults early on in my career. I mean, it was that, man. I'm coming at you. This is what we're doing. Don't even want to talk about it.
I know all about it, Coach.
I don't care about the opinion you have. You know what you can do with your opinion.
I've been on the other side of that conversation.
You get a little bit longer in the tooth. You kind of sit back a little bit and,
Yeah. I've been on the other side of some of those conversations from the Coach Mannie of the past, but the aspect of the standard is the same. I was a walk-on. Of course, you walk on. You were the first person I dealt with that trying out at Michigan State to walk on. You run and you do your agility drills and you come on the team. Then after being on the team for a year and a half, I had coming from Los Angeles, I had an LA attitude, right? And it came up and coaches talked about it. You pulled me to the side and said almost the same thing you just said. You decided to join this team and you got to fit into the standards. And here coaches are in meetings talking about your attitude, Tai. Like, it's a privilege for you to be here. What's the problem? So we had those conversations. Obviously, I straightened out and ended up earning a scholarship as a walk-on, and I appreciate that. I think it resonates that that's still the core of what you present after being in the profession for 45 years. I think that's very important.
Well, I appreciate that. Today I ask young men that I meet 3 questions. I mean, right out of the box, as soon as I meet a young man that we're recruiting or we're interested in, whatever the case may be, and his mom and dad, hopefully, are right next to him. A lot of times that's not the case, though. Unfortunately, a lot of times, mom's not there, dad's not there. They're with a mentor or a coach that has taken them in or whatever, and there's, a dysfunctional family unit there in more respects than you could ever imagine. But I pose 3 questions. Number 1, do you have a passion for academics? Because when today's done, you're one day closer to never playing this game again. So get ready for that day. I don't care if you're coming out next year or it's 2 years or you're a sophomore that we're recruiting, whatever the case may be. And in today's recruiting world, you're recruiting freshmen, high school freshmen. It's crazy. Second question: do you have a passion for the game of football? Because what you're going to invest in it now, and what you're going to have to sacrifice for it, is going to take a true passion for it. And then finally, do you have a passion for training for the game? Where I come in, maybe, but not really, probably most, the highest percentage there, but I'm involved in the other ones too now. And I want the kid to know that. I'm involved in the other ones, especially number 1, that passion for academics, because I will sit you down and I will give you a stern, lecture and talking to for missing a class, missing a tutor, being late for this, because, and really even more so now than back at your time with us, Tai, because that importance to me is even heightened.
Right. Understanding as you get further and further away. Well, Coach, this has been an excellent conversation.
Hey, I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed seeing you. You're doing good. Now, let me see. Ron McKeefrey was first. You're going to finish with Jeff Madden, right? Okay, so you're going to start strong and you're going to finish strong. I don't know about this middle part, though, brother. You might have messed that all up for yourself.
No, I think we've done pretty good here. Those are the three people you just named, yourself included. You guys are the elephants of the profession. I have a saying that says, in order to be successful, you have to walk with the elephants, meaning if you want to be successful, be around successful people. And it's a privilege for me to sit here, and Coach Stiggins allowed me to do this, and to have someone like you who I've looked up to for years and years and years on here is definitely very exciting for me, and it makes my heart warm. I definitely appreciate you joining me here on One Question, Coach.
I appreciate you, brother. I love you now. Okay, keep doing what you're doing. Okay, because it's the right thing to do, and you're doing a great job at it.
Yes, sir. That was Coach Ken Mannie. He's the head strength and conditioning coach at Michigan State University. He's been there for almost 25 years, been in the profession for almost 45 years, and he's doing a great job. Of course, this is Ty Brown with One Question. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of the One Question Leadership Podcast is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.